Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. A lot to get into tonight. We will talk about the Steelers bringing in young quarterbacks to visit them. What does that mean, if anything? We'll also get into March Madness. We have the Penguins split 2 games this weekend. What about them? Where are they right now? And do you still have confidence they'll make the playoffs? But the #1 topic tonight, #1 Cochran Sports Showdown, will be the Pirates on opening weekend. Here to discuss is your panel, Andrew Fillipponi, 93.7 The Fan. In the middle, it's Mr. Will Graves. I was going to say Wanda's favorite person from the Associated Press, and Brian Batko of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Pony, we'll start with you. Connor Griffin, not on the opening day roster. It will be York and Gonzalez supposedly battling there. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, that part I don't like. I mean, the idea that you've got 2 guys that are not third basemen, and Nick Gonzalez was a very average player last year at best. York's a 23-year-old who, couldn't cut it in the Red Sox organization and now is trying to get a second chance here with the Pirates. That, to me, is a hole of a position right now. But Connor Griffin did not, in spring training, put up the kind of numbers knowing it was a competition to force their hand. Only one major league player has opened the season as a teenager since 1989 on the opening day roster, and that was Ken Griffey Jr. Right. So we went the entire 90s decade, 2000s, 2010s, with no teenager making his debut on opening day. He needed to do something extraordinary in spring training, and outside of that 2-home run game against the Red Sox, he really didn't. So I think they made the right call.
I mean, they have a lot invested in him. I think it's okay. They're way more worried about Connor Griffin than what third base looks like in the short term until Connor does come up and Jared Triolo goes to third. That is what is going to happen. It's just a matter when's it going to happen? May 1st, May 10th, April 15th. Look, he hit 171, two walks against 13 strikeouts. Not against some guys that aren't going to be in the majors when the season starts. Let him get a few weeks at AAA, and they're not going to lose the division or be out of the playoff race. Probably.
They did last year.
Probably 3 weeks into the season. Let the kid play a little.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you guys. Obviously, the Griffin hype reached a fever pitch with those dongs in spring training, and it looked like he was going to be somebody who was legitimately going to have a chance to break that Ken Griffey Jr. stat. But in a vacuum, I don't mind it, but I don't blame Pirates fans who they were so excited about some of these offseason transactions, moves to finally make the lineup better, and then now you're sitting here going into opening day, and you still got to try to talk yourself into getting excited about Jared Triolo and Nick Gonzalez in the lineup just about every day.
So we do expect him to come back at some point. But in the meantime, back to you, Andrew, about this team. Win totals, where were they finish? I think they have a better chance of getting in the wild card.
Well, it's the most bet on over. Everyone loves them to go 78.5. I'm a sucker for it, too. I think they'll be a team that finishes over 500. But my extreme optimism of this team can win the division and this team is going to make the playoffs has waned a little bit as spring training is concluded because of what we just talked about with Griffin not taking the reins, with another spot in their lineup that at least for the first month of the season looks like it's going to be occupied by automatic outs. Then the other thing is I don't like this Carmen Mlodzinski development. I mean, you're so close. You've got a ballpark that's built for left-handed starting pitching, and you don't have one lefty in your rotation. Go out and find a legitimate major league starter.
Some are still out there.
Make Jose Quintana a better deal so he doesn't go give up, 19 home runs a game in Colorado this year. Convince Tyler Anderson to get off his couch and pitch for you. Do something like that to put that final exclamation point on the good offseason you had. And I think that ultimately is going to be the difference from them winning the division and making the playoffs. I think they're just short this year. I don't think they're going to make it, Will.
Of the playoffs, you mean?
Yes, I do not.
I like the over, but 85 seems to be like the ceiling. But that could, look, depending on the season, 83, 84 kind of gets you in the mix for that last wildcard spot. There is optimism, but I think, are we sure that Ozuna is going to be able to hit? He hit well during spring training. I brought this up when they acquired him. 36 career games at PNC Park. He's under 200. That's half a season at home, right? So maybe, look, he's a right-handed pull power hitter, right? I'm not convinced that he's going to come out here and hit 30 home runs. I think we were going to talk about who the most important guys. I think he might be the one. I think he might be because he can only really do one thing. They have a lot of guys that can do lots of different things. He can only do one thing. He needs to have a great season for them to have a threat to be challenge the Cubs.
Yeah, I kind of share Pony's optimism to an extent as well, but I think I think it's more likely that they go under than they make the postseason. I don't know about you guys. I mean, what do you think is more likely, that they go under that total, or they actually do push through and make?
No, I think it's more likely they make the playoffs.
I think they'll make the playoffs as a wild card. That's what I think.
I mean, I'm threading the needle here, splitting the difference of. I think they will go over, but yeah, I don't have them in the postseason either.
All right, let's assess their pitching staff. We know now the rotation, just specifically. Majinski's in there, Ashcraft, Bubba Chandler. These are guys who are going to only probably go 5 and 6 innings. Then you have the two horses at the beginning, Skeens and Keller. Overall, do you like this rotation?
Well, Keller's not a horse yet. I mean, they pay him like one.
Well, he's a 175 to 200 inning guy.
But to me, one of the keys to their season is, again, I don't mean to like jump ahead of the conversation that you want to have, but he's got to eventually put together a 30-start season where he looks like an all-star pitcher if this thing's going to work this year. Okay, because we hear the Jim Lelands of the world, and I know he's amazing, but we hear people say no one wants to play the Pirates in a short series. Well, when your number 2 starter is a 4 ERA and stinks in the second half of the season, that's not intimidating whatsoever. So he, to me, has to be, now that you've got young guys behind him and you didn't bring in another veteran pitcher, he needs to be really good for 6 months this year.
I mean, Neil Huntington used to say that progress is not linear, right? So, like, we're projecting these 85-win wild cards, like assuming the pitching staff is going to be just as good as it was last year and the offense is going to be better. And in theory, you would hope that that would be the case because you would think young guys, especially Bubba, can take a big step forward this year. But, they've also been able to build the back end of the bullpen. How many different closes have they had as all-stars in the last 15 years?
They have a pretty good bullpen. This is a bullpen league right now.
It's that middle part there because, they're not going to have guys throw 7 innings in April. It's not going to happen, right? So, like, to me, the biggest thing for them this season is can the middle of that bullpen, can they be effective?
That Red Sox trade, too, Garcia hit great in spring training and didn't make the team.
That's the point I was
and in Boston, Oviedo, I think they've slotted him in as their 3rd starter behind Crochet and Suarez. Right. I mean, that's a make-or-break trade, too. If Garcia doesn't come up here and play well, and he has a good year in Boston, you're going to second-guess that deal, Brian.
Yeah, I was going to make that point on the Griffin segment, too, is I think, again, when you just talk about Griffin and the way he hit in spring training, at least average-wise, I mean, you can certainly understand the decision, but it is kind of a bummer, a buzzkill that neither one of him nor the password ended up here on the opening day roster.
One of the great nicknames.
Yeah. Billy Cook did.
Billy Cook did. I know.
And not Andrew McCutchen. We got room for Billy Cook.
Real quick, MVP, not counting pitchers. I want to, 1 through 9, position players, who's on the roster, who has to be the MVP this year?
Well, I think you traded for Lau to be your best hitter. He hit 31 home runs last year. He's got 2 30-home run seasons. He's had a multi-home run game in the World Series. Okay, he's going into a contract year. He's got to be extremely
That's the best
productive.
Part of him. I love guys who have to be motivated to play and have incentive on the line.
I think Reynolds is surrounded by more talent around him than he's had in the entire time that he's been here, right? So I think he's going to see better pitching. If he can be effective, if he can be back in the 280, 290 range, which we saw early in his career, I think he can be the straw that stirs the drink for them.
All right. Well, Billy Cook. No, I mean, I guess you guys will leave me with the slam dunk answer, and I'll just say O'Neal Cruz.
That's my answer, too.
Let's see it finally blossom.
I mean, last year he had 20-some, 8 home runs. He had over 30 stolen bases.
Put it all
that
together.
was considered a bad year. So
put it all together. It would be nice to see.
How about Henry Davis, Bob?
Henry Davis needs to hit like 200. And I'll be saying, thank you, Henry. That's an upgrade. If he could hit 10 to 12 home runs, I think we'll take that. He hit one today down in spring training. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Penguins now, who went 1-1 over the weekend. But, man, this is a jammed Eastern Conference. What will they do? We'll get into them next right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Penguins finally won a shootout yesterday, on their 2nd of the year, so they beat Winnipeg. But today, against Carolina, a team that I think could win it all, they laid an egg, and Carolina was just better. 5-1, 3 power play goals in this one. Well, I want to talk about the Penguins now. They have Colorado this week at home, at Ottawa, and then Dallas at home. 2 of the best teams in the league, and they're fighting for points. So have you changed your opinion about maybe the Penguins and whether or not they'll get to the playoffs?
I mean, I still think that they're going to make the playoffs, but I am concerned about the quality of the play, especially defensively the last couple of, in Carolina the other night, yesterday, and they get up too quick. They get up quick too, and then it's just like they decided to play like it was October. Even Dan Muse today said we were bad, 1 through 20, me included. The style of play that they're playing of late is not conducive to success in the playoffs. I'm more concerned about that than them getting to the playoffs, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, the big reason why they won yesterday is because I was there. They wanted to impress me. But that was a great environment, a great atmosphere, and they finally come through in the shootout. So they did expend a lot of energy in that win over the Jets. I mean, overtime, Crosby and Raquel in the shootout, and obviously they came out flat today. I wouldn't say I'm worried or even, let alone panicking about this team, but yeah, I mean, certainly wire to wire Saturday, but let alone Sunday, not all that impressive. But I still think they're legitimately good. I still think they'll find a way to get
But it's a bad time to have one of those efforts today.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of teams playing compressed schedule these days.
But there's a reason why there's a saying among, serious hockey bettors that you bet the team that's waiting for you in a back-to-back situation. And Carolina didn't play yesterday, waiting for the Penguins to play that long game that Brian pointed out, and then Carolina gave the Penguins 2 points in the games in Carolina where they let late goals push the game to overtime. So they put their foot on the throat today and showed them who's boss. But to me, bigger picture with this team, we're 70 games into this. And you can count on one hand the amount of games they've had that looked like the one today. I mean, they have given you night in and night out a very honest effort, which I think is huge. That's a testament to the coach, I think, getting these guys to buy in and play 60 minutes most nights.
Totally agree. But will they have potentially an issue at goaltender? Just because, and I realize the play in front of Skinner and Sheeloffs has not been good of late. Today on the first goal, Stahl standing in front, untouched.
Yeah.
And you can't allow that to happen. But the goaltending has not been good statistically. Are you concerned about that?
Skinner, look, I mean, he went to the Cup finals in back-to-back years and Edmonton decided that Tristan Jarry was a better option.
Oh, God.
Right? So, I mean, how's that worked out for Edmonton or for Tristan in Edmonton? Not very good, right? I just think that he is not a shutdown guy. Like, if they get into an up-and-down game or if they get up one goal in the third, are you confident? And I'm just against really good tems.
And they're going to face two more.
I'm a little, to your point, the play in front of them, Brian, has not been good. But it's entertaining if you're sitting there with your family watching.
It was entertaining. I was going to say, I mean, the Pens having goaltender issues. What else is new? At least there are some new faces in here and a new coach that preside over it. So I wasn't really looking at that as going to be their saving grace this season anyway. But yeah, I mean, at least there are some different options that you can go to. Maybe Sheelovs will.
The numbers to me do not indicate I think their goaltending generally has been good. If you look at the quality chances and the fact that, I mean, Skinner had to make some, like the Carolina game last week. If it wasn't for him, they would have lost that game 15-4 or 5. So they're putting them in position to make big saves, which they are, but the numbers. You watch the 6-5 game in Carolina,
that's why,
you would have said, what did happen to Skinner? He gave up 5. Yes, he did.
You carry 2, but and I truly believe this, their best goalie might not be on the NHL roster. And they've done some, not like totally bold, but they asked Malkin to move to the right wing. He's done a good job at that. The way they've put their defensive pairings together. They've done some almost unorthodox things. I think you've got to consider him as an option here. We've seen Cam Ward won a Stanley Cup in Carolina. Matt Murray came up and helped the Penguins win that cup in 2016. That is on the table, in my opinion, if you can't get one of these other two guys to get hot down the stretch here, Bob.
Don't forget Jeff Zadkov.
Well, the one counterpoint is, let's remember, they're also less than a week removed from housing the Avalanche in Colorado.
Right.
Yeah, which is not a good thing on Tuesday night when the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Pony's idea is outlandish to some on its face, but I'll throw this wrinkle in there too. If there's ever a time to kind of try one of these, like he said, unorthodox tweaks, Dan Muse might have the juice right now, year one, where you're just kind of trying to feel your way and maybe something clicks.
Yeah. The other thing is the power play has to carry it. They've done for most of the season. Lately, I've noticed it seems like they're getting kind of lazy on the power play. Like, pass it around. Not enough. And when you're penalty killing, you're jacked up to make sure this team doesn't score. Are you concerned about that real quick?
I mean, look, they've got a couple injuries, right? Like, I mean, Lazat's kind of an important player for them. I think that, they've been better. I think 70 games in, at this point, they've earned the benefit of the doubt over the next 12. I just think what we've seen on the whole sample size is good enough. They've had a bad stretch lately. They've earned the right to show us that they can come back.
I still think they need 2 guys, and for as great of a season as they've had, I mean, Dan Muse might win Coach of the Year. Dubas might be the Executive of the Year. It's incredible to me that they've come this far, and Letang has not had a good season, and Raquel has not had a good season. And if I told you both of those guys are going to be mediocre or worse, there's no way, Bob, you would have thought
No,
they'd be in a good playoff spot right now.
I thought Ricallo specifically would have 25 to 30 goals. He's not done that. So, yeah, they have guys that need to step up. Their fourth line has been outstanding. It's been a big reason why they are where they are. But a big week coming up, as I said, Colorado coming up on Tuesday, then at Ottawa before Dallas comes here on Saturday. That's going to do it for that segment. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Steelers. They brought in a lot of quarterbacks. Why are they doing this? We'll talk about it next, right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, off-season for the Steelers, kind of a lull in the action. But Brian Batko, I want to ask you about the quarterback situation. I think we all pretty much understand it's Rodgers. Beyond that, they're bringing a lot of guys. This week we saw Carson Beck come in. Then there was another guy later in the week. They've talked to Aller. They've talked to Ty Simpson. Why are they doing all of this? I know they have to do their due diligence, but does it give you an indication they may be willing to take somebody during this draft?
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to remind me a little bit of last year where they did their homework on Jackson Dart, Tyler Shuck, even Shedeur Sanders came in here for a pre-draft visit. It definitely reminds me of 2022 where they were really beating the bushes on all those guys in that class that turned out to be historically awful. So on one hand, yeah, it makes me think that they're looking to at least bring in somebody to compete for a spot on the roster. And, you know, if you believe everything they say about Will Howard, could be Mason Rudolph who'd be the odd man out at that point, assuming Rodgers is back. But maybe this is just life when you're looking for that long-term franchise guy. You essentially have to scout the class and do your research and prep every single year.
So they could have taken Jackson Dart last year, and they chose not to. He was available at that time to them.
Brian's right. Like, when you don't have somebody who is your Mahomes or your Allen or your Burrow, you owe it to yourself to do that. But it absolutely, to me, seems counterintuitive if you really, really think Will Howard is good, which nobody seems to believe.
It's kind of a smokescreen?
No one believes that they believe that.
Are they just treating Will Howard like the boy next door? You can kind of keep him in the friend zone and say all these nice things about him, but then you might let him down.
But I think it's gone beyond just saying.
They're treating him like Mason Rudolph.
I think it's gone. No, but I think it's gone beyond saying nice things.
You think it's legitimate and real?
No, but it's over the top. It's one thing to say you think, you know, we had a nice first year with him. We project that he'll be part of our room or whatever. But they're setting, I think, the bar high for fans and media to think that this guy could potentially be their starting quarterback.
Well, I mean,
right?
but like when Ben retired, they were adamant that that Mason and Dwayne Haskins were going to have a chance to be the quarterback, and we were like, "There's no chance."
Well, but one guy was a former first-round pick, Will, and Mason had a first-round grade from the GM.
I would say, in terms of specifically the guys they're bringing in this year, you got to, for the first time in forever, they've got a head coach that likes quarterbacks and apparently knows what to do with them, right? So, but he's inheriting Will Howard. And Will Howard seems like he's a good kid, but like maybe in these meetings, McCarthy's finding some stuff that he's going to file away for later, and maybe we see something later in the draft.
If they took Carson Beck in the third round, okay, what's their quarterback depth chart then?
That's a good question because he's third round,
what is
Howard sixth round.
Is Howard on the practice squad?
I just think Carson Beck's a younger Mason Rudolph. Essentially, is probably his ceiling in the NFL.
Do any of you want Carson Beck? I don't.
No, I don't. But that's why it's.
Would you take Drew Aller? Yes or no?
No.
I'd take him over Carson Beck. I think there's at least some more trades to work with there with Aller.
Ty Simpson, he's available 21. Yes or no?
No.
Okay. A lot of no's. They know.
Hope you're not watching this, Ty.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about March Madness, and does Cinderella still have a role in it? Next, right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, welcome back. You know, when I say #1 Cochran knows ball, I'm not kidding. Their annual Slam Dunk Offers event has returned to Audi Pittsburgh and Audi Washington. You can score up to $40 per month toward your payments when you lease or purchase a new vehicle. Choose from an elite starting lineup of Audi sedans and SUVs with the all-new Q3 earning MVP honors. Shop Slam Dunk Offers now at AudiPittsburgh.com or AudiWashington.com. We're talking about slam dunks here, and there haven't been really many in the NCAA tournament. Brian, I want to start with you. Cinderella teams. A lot of people want these teams. First of all, would you consider Texas at 11 seed a Cinderella? No. Technically, if you saw an 11 and you just said, I understand what you're looking at me for, but 11 seeds in the past been, oh my goodness, it's a Cinderella. They've had a bad year. Sean Miller's done some nice things.
And they had to come from the first four.
Right. Does Cinderella live in this tournament? The way the NIL and
not lately. It's 2 years in a row now that it seems like the gap's actually widening between the big boys, the power conferences, the high seeds, and these mid-majors who used to have a chance to kind of get hot, from 3. Maybe they'd have some 25-year-old dude with a beard
Jack
who's in his
Golke.
5th year of college
Golke was a great
basketball,
story.
and he can take over a game. But yeah, you're not seeing that with the trickle up due to NIL.
My fear is that it turns into the women's game, which is no offense to Caitlin Clark and everything that's gone on there, UConn's greatness, and obviously there's stories there.
But big separation.
But right. I mean, my alma mater plays UConn in a second-round game tomorrow. The line's 37 points.
Yeah, that's not
between a 1 and an 8 seed. Okay, so like the haves and have-not separation, I don't think that's good for anybody. The charm of the tournament is supposed to be the first 2 days.
And I thought it was very charming, didn't you? There were some
it was great,
games.
Bob. Yeah, it was.
You don't think so?
We had High Point was the only school that people said, "Where is that?"
Duke was in jeopardy of losing to a 16 seed.
Yeah, and they won. I mean,
but the quality of the game matters to me.
Yeah, I didn't think there were a lot of great games. I guess you and me are going to.
Well, that's always the debate: is do you want to see a team like High Point advance and maybe get crushed in the second round? They didn't. To their credit.
They gave Arkansas a game.
They played really well, so that tells you they were a legitimate team. But in years past, you'd see someone sneak in, and then it doesn't make for as good of a second round. Like I enjoyed the theater of Bill Self and Rick Pitino in a chess match in the last minute, and that's a second-round game, so there are some pluses to it as well.
Well, Josh Schertz, the St. Louis coach, said after the game yesterday, he called it a chasm. There's a chasm now between these mid-majors and these upper-tier guys. And Brian used trickle up. I used it in the story I wrote about this yesterday. I'm sure that's where you got it from.
Obviously,
Maybe thinking that subconsciously, right? I think
go
what's happening is the veteran mid-major teams that have a bunch of 23-year-old guys, those guys are now playing are role players for UConn and Florida now.
I wish we had more time. We're out of time. We'll be right back. All right, many thanks to Brian Batko, Mr. Will Graves, and Andrew Fillipponi. That's going to wrap it up for us. We have a lot more March Madness coming up this week and a big week for the Penguins as well. We'll see you next Sunday night right here for the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Good night.